on this Monday night.
The 6 boys arrested today have each been charged with assault, gang sexual assault, and sexual assault with a weapon.
Criminal charges and a deepening crisis at a private boys' school in Toronto. Why didn't more people come forward after seeing a video of what happened?
This is our biggest week. So we have our biggest days of the year during this period.
Crunch time in the Canada Post dispute with undelivered packages piling up. What are the options for retailers and consumers?
And a shortage of a common antidepressant has doctors and patients taking drastic measures. This is The National. At St. Michael's College School, first it was rumors and a video swirling on social media, and then came the expulsions. Now it's criminal charges. The disturbing allegations of student assaults at the Toronto private school have led to charges for 6 boys. Tonight, The National speaks with students, an expert, and a survivor of a similar assault about how this could happen, how widespread it could be. But we start with the police announcement today.
More than 50 witnesses have been identified, and more information comes to us daily.
The lurid litany of charges against the 6 boys today were tied to just one incident. Police said today they're investigating 3 others, and there could be more.
I can't get into what's leading me to believe that, but I do believe that there's more videos and/or more incidents.
The inspector left open the possibility of child pornography charges for those still possessing or distributing the video that led to all this. And they left open the possibility that the school administration could face consequences for how it handled the situation. So we are well past the moment of shocked inaction, of cautious attempts to get a handle on what happened one time. We are at a different point now where the story spirals. And Olivia Stefanovich tells us it's not clear where all this stops.
Little consolation can be found outside the prestigious all-boys private school, where goodness, discipline, and knowledge are written on the walls. But the opposite appears to have happened between them.
These incidents are clearly indicative we have a problem.
6 students between the ages of 14 and 15 are facing charges of assault, gang sexual assault, and assault with a weapon, stemming from a video that the principal received last Monday evening and didn't report to police until Wednesday.
I know I'm being criticized for that, but I've spoken with the victims' parents. They are very pleased with the timeline.
But all the negative attention has led to threats against the school and a heavy police presence. 4 incidents are being investigated, including the alleged sexual assault in a locker room.
I'm not going to comment. I think the media's only made it worse. So.
Why is that, sir?
Few want to address the severity of the crimes, at least with the media.
How are you feeling about today's charges? Do you feel safe sending your son to this school?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it's a good school. A few kids don't do anything.
I think some people can relate to this.
The reaction from parents dismays this former student.
I think that's absolutely ridiculous how they're more focused on saving the name of St. Mike's over even addressing like what this kid must have went through. I think that's absolutely unbelievable, and it honestly sickens me.
We've agreed to protect his identity because he fears backlash for speaking out. He says he left the school 1 year before graduation over a culture that he says revered privilege and condoned bullying.
I don't think enough really was done by the teachers at the school.
You wanted out?
I did, yeah.
Toronto police say they already have more videos, hinting there may be more victims. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Toronto.
When I spoke with St. Mike's principal yesterday, he suggested the school would have an app so students could digitally report incidents. Today, he said they're still exploring that option while the school responds in other ways. It's installed an anonymous voicemail tip line. It's hiring a social worker, and it has begun selecting independent investigators for a so-called deep dive review of the school's culture going back years.
The goal is to make the invisible visible and take action.
Among some students, however, this was far from invisible. It was witnessed, captured on camera, and continues to be shared on social media. Ioana Remiliotis explores how kids can see a crime, hear about a crime, and yet say nothing.
It was odd to see a landscaper on the grounds of St. Michael's College today, as if the appearance of normal can be maintained, even as a sickening story breaks open and sparks more outrage. These students go to a nearby school, too young to show their faces, but with a lot to say.
Like I feel bad for that kid. Like he didn't deserve that.
And like what our
terrible.
It's cruel. Like what our teachers said, those kids, they're just like their future. They ruin their career, their futures.
The charges against the students are horrific. So too the fact there were at least 50 witnesses to 4 alleged assaults, and more watching as police say videos of the attacks continue to circulate.
The unintended consequences are far-reaching and detrimental to the recovery of the victim. I cannot stress to you the importance of ensuring that these videos are immediately deleted from all phones or devices in your possession.
And as the perpetrators appeared in court, the case raises disturbing questions too, of the virtual bystanders and the ones who were there. Why didn't they stop them? The answer may lie, experts say, in how pervasive hazing is, how normalized it's become. A recent survey found nearly 60% of Canadian university students endured hazing at least once.
We look at it with shock and awe because it's something that horrifies us. But for these athletes and students, it's been a part of their culture and part of their tradition for so long that they don't see it as problematic. They don't see it as abuse.
Sharing abuse repeatedly online also lessens the shock value. But author Rachel Giza says it may mark an era of reckoning.
The other side of it is it actually also becomes evidence. So I think that there were, generations of kids who would have experienced this kind of violence who had no proof. There was no evidence of what happened.
Back outside the school, that same group of kids say they hope they would have done more.
Yeah, and if I was there, I'd be like, "What are you doing? Like, it's wrong."
Do you think you'd be too scared to?
I would just tell the teacher. Like I wouldn't really. If they were older, I wouldn't intervene because they would probably do it to me too. So I would probably just tell the teacher.
And also, if they hurt me too, this is gonna more trouble.
Their logic, so simple and brave. Ioana Remiliotis, CBC News, Toronto.
The alleged attack sound eerily similar to what happened to Darcy McEwen a little over a decade ago. He's a St. Michael's alumnus, but what happened to him occurred when he was a student at McGill University, when he was sexually assaulted by his teammates. I sat down with him earlier to talk about how he felt when he first heard the news about St. Mike's.
So hearing that happens there is a flood of emotions. It's disappointment that it could happen at a place that I felt was so safe. It was frustration that these things are still going on.
We also talked about why he thinks this is still happening and what he wants the students at St. Mike's to know. That's coming up a little later on The National.
Now to the latest in the ongoing Canada Post strike that could be affecting a lot of Canadians this holiday season. The union rejecting the latest offer from Canada Post. The company asked the union to push pause on rotating strikes for the busy holiday season, hoping more than 1 million packages stuck in hundreds of trucks could get back on the road for delivery. The employment minister was asked about negotiations just ahead of question period.
It certainly does feel like parenting sometimes when you're working with two parties who refuse to sit down and get a deal. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that's when you have strong collective agreements. When employers and unions work together to get a deal that works for everyone, that's when those agreements are long-lasting and are respected in the workplace.
With neither side moving and that backlog of packages, the pressure is on shoppers and shippers to find another way. Diane Buckner has that story.
You're looking at the biggest backlog of deliveries Canada Post has ever seen. Over 400 tractor-trailer loads at this Toronto processing plant, hundreds more in Vancouver and Montreal. Every truck is loaded with about 2,500 parcels.
We are hitting a time where if we don't clear the backlog soon, those Black Friday, Cyber Monday volumes are going to hit, and that kicks off a period of several weeks where we see double the volumes that we normally do.
The company has asked its international partners to stop sending mail and parcels to Canada. The timing of the labor dispute couldn't be worse.
This is our biggest week. So we have our biggest days of the year during this period, and eBay's like every other e-commerce player in that. This is the Super Bowl of e-commerce happens this week.
Andrea Stairs heads up eBay Canada.
Can you screen grab that?
She says 80 to 90% of the sellers on the e-commerce website use Canada Post to ship product.
The big guys can figure out alternative shipping arrangements and they can afford them. The little guys are the ones that have a real difficulty with that.
You wouldn't have to go direct to carriers?
There are alternative ways to ship. This company works with couriers other than the post office.
Right now we're slammed. We've been getting virtually, hundreds of signups, each and every week since word of it.
But every courier and delivery service in Canada put together couldn't handle the load Canada Post does.
We deliver 2 out of every 3 parcels that Canadians order online. We serve 200,000 small businesses, 11,000 medium to large size retailers, and then all the Canadians in between that.
With no resolution in sight, online retailers are warning customers of delays, and online shoppers may actually be considering a trip to the mall. Diane Buckner, CBC News, Toronto.
To Ontario now, where Premier Doug Ford is getting an earful about budget cuts affecting the province's French speakers, deciding to step away from both a planned French university and a dedicated commissioner for French language services. Quebec's premier wants those decisions reversed, and so do many of Ontario's 620,000 francophones. As the largest number of French speakers outside of Quebec, this is significant for a lot of people. Premier Doug Ford may have underestimated how angry they are and how much support they have. As Catherine Cullen tells us, Ford's stance is more than just a provincial issue.
Good evening. Good evening, Doug. It's William. I'm sorry to miss your call.
No problem, my friend.
That is Doug Ford on the line, known for calling concerned constituents back. Friday, he took a call from this 20-year-old Franco-Ontarian.
You didn't consultate any of our Francophone organisms. How come?
Okay, my friend, I can't be any clearer. We don't have the money. Unless you want to pull money up, you want to fund it, by all means. We don't have the money.
Today, William Burton says he's glad Ford spoke to him, but he doesn't feel the Premier was really listening.
It's a right to be French in Canada, and we're one of the 2 official languages, so he's missing a lot of information, crucial information.
There you go, my friend. Thank you.
It's not just an Ontario issue. Today, Quebec's Premier raised it with Ford, seemingly to no avail.
I don't think it sends a good message to Francophone. But it's not my decision, it's his decision.
Thing is, there are a lot of Francophones in Canada. In Quebec, yes, but also in Ontario and significant populations in New Brunswick and Manitoba. So for a Ford ally hoping to win more seats across the country, this has become a bit touchy. Andrew Scheer said yesterday he did raise the subject with Ford, but
did you ask him to reverse the decision?
As I said, it's up to Mr. Ford to manage those types of things.
The federal Liberals, though, want to make this Scheer's issue to manage, saying the Conservative leader, rather than the federal government, is the one who must stop Ford.
He needs to have the political courage to do that. If he does that, actually, he's affecting the rights of Francophones all across the country.
As for Ford, he is pushing back against the political pressure, pointing out, for example, that Francophone University hadn't opened yet.
Again, it wasn't cut when you never had it there in the first place, right? So it was a promise.
Ford has said that this is about saving money, not about French, or he says about English or Spanish or any other language. But the politics around the French language are distinct. Even if Ford himself seems immune, the political pressure is growing. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Turning now to an acute shortage in medicine cabinets across the country. A growing number of people who rely on prescription drugs are discovering their pharmacy has run out. In fact, tonight there are more than 1,600 drugs that cannot be filled, many for critical and chronic conditions. And that shortage list just keeps getting longer. Our health reporter Christine Birak has more on the drug deficits that are putting patients' comfort and care at risk.
Well, as of right now, I really only have
4 tablets of the brand name Wellbutrin left over.
And he has a handful of generics. That's it for a drug used to treat depression called bupropion.
We call neighboring pharmacies to see if they have any supply.
This psychiatrist is now seeing anxious patients worried their medication will run out.
It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. So when there's a shortage like this, some patients might scramble and they may be able to find another antidepressant that's effective, but they may not.
DrugShortagesCanada.ca houses a master list of over 1,000 medications in short supply. It reveals there are just 2 companies manufacturing bupropion in Canada. Why the shortage? Mylan Pharmaceuticals notes a delay in shipping. Valiant, now called Bosch Health, doesn't offer any explanation. If you suspect drug shortages are created by companies to raise prices, you're not alone.
I had that thought in my mind, aha, it's evil pharma, but really that's not the case. First of all, in Canada, drug companies cannot arbitrarily raise prices, even when there is a shortage.
Instead, shortages and price spikes may have more to do with a lack of interest in older drugs by companies and doctors.
Doctors learn that there is this new drug, so they stop using the old drug, even though there may be thousands of people still using the old drug. The old drug no longer is profitable. And so companies will stop making it.
To take back some control of the generic drug supply, a group of major American hospitals has launched a not-for-profit generic drug company. Their first drug is expected to be ready next year.
It hops around from one to another.
The bupropion shortage might soon be resolved, but there is a growing list of drugs, leaving empty spaces on pharmacy shelves. Christine Birak, CBC News, Aurora, Ontario.
Here are some of the other stories we're watching on The National tonight. An Ontario man who claimed he was asleep when he sexually assaulted a woman back in 2011 has been found criminally responsible.
Shocked because it's finally over, but relieved overall, just, finally some justice.
The woman was raped 7 years ago while she was sleeping. Her attacker, Ryan Hartman, was convicted of the assault but appealed that decision twice. The second time, he admitted to the crime but claimed he had sexomnia and didn't know he was raping her. Well, today the judge said that Hartman failed to prove that he suffers from the sleep disorder and said it's more likely he blacked out from alcohol. You may be surprised it hadn't happened already, but today, BC's government introduced legislation to legalize ride-hailing. However, it will probably be next fall before you can grab an Uber or Lyft in Vancouver. A Crown corporation controls vehicle insurance in this province, and it's still working on its plan. Still, people we heard from today say they're looking forward to some competition for taxis.
I've got a disability. I can't drive. I never will be able to drive. So it's something I'm really looking forward to.
Right now, Vancouver is the largest city in North America without companies like Uber. And Calgary's Olympic bid is officially dead after a unanimous vote by City Council. It will also reveal details of the entire process, including how much it spent. This decision follows last week's plebiscite when 56% of Calgarians said they did not want to pursue the 2026 Winter Games.
Ahead tonight on The National, Viola Desmond makes her debut on the new $10 bill. We are there as her sister celebrates.
And we'll have a CBC News investigation. They were sexually assaulted by their teachers. Now, decades later, they want to know why their school board failed to protect them.
First, though, we'll return to the St. Michael's investigation. My in-depth conversation with Darcy McEwen, a St. Mike's alumnus who at university became a victim of sexual assault. His message to potential victims now, next.
You're not alone. There are way more people who have gone through this than anyone cares to admit. You may feel alone, you may feel angry, afraid, that's all perfectly normal.
We have reason to believe that there may be more videos and more incidents.
An all-boys private school in Toronto continues to spiral in scandal. As we heard earlier, 6 teens have been charged in connection with an alleged sexual assault at St. Michael's College. Police are investigating 3 other incidents, some of them shared on social media, and they warn there could be more charges. And as shocking as all of this is, it's also vaguely familiar. This is not the first time a Canadian school has been confronted with similar allegations.
There was inappropriate behavior at an initiation activity that was held by one of our sports teams.
That was 2005, and then an 18-year-old freshman football player was sexually assaulted at McGill University in Montreal. It was during a hazing ritual perpetrated by a group of veteran players. And while no criminal charges were ever filed, several students were suspended, and the university canceled the rest of its football season. Darcy McEwen was the 18-year-old victim of that 2005 incident. And as an alumnus of St. Michael's as well, he brings a unique perspective to this current scandal. So we spoke earlier today. If you can take us back to McGill. When you joined McGill and when you decided to join the football team, what sort of discussions were happening around initiation rites or hazing or any of that?
I mean, there was this rumor going around that at the end of training camp there'd be a proctology exam with Dr. Broom for every entering rookie who made the cut, and you know, it was kind of lord over us the entire time. What really shocked me was that it was mentioned in front of coaching staff and support staff, trainers, things like that, which kind of reinforced what I suspect, or what I had suspected at the time, which is that it was all kind of mental warfare, trying to mess with their head a little bit before training camp concluded.
So you never thought they'd actually go through with something like this? It was just a threat?
I thought that if they had been smart enough to get into McGill and all that, that yes, they would have been smart enough to know that something like that is not appropriate.
Can you walk us through what actually happened to you?
Yeah, so it started after a mandatory team dinner in one of the dining halls. And from that point, they had all the rookies take off their shirts, hold hands, and skip down to the athletic center while calling us homophobic slurs. They then led us into these basically squash courts, which are holding pens, and told us to hold the penny to the wall with our nose. And every time someone dropped it, it would be another inch with Dr. Broom.
So you can't really see much if you have your nose against the wall, but what was your sense of how many people were there?
So I was in basically a holding pen with the other rookies. One by one, we were taken out to the squash court next door, where we basically had almost like a spotlight on us, and couldn't really see much beyond that. And we saw there were a couple of team captains and some veterans on the floor, and then there were other members of the teams up in the stands. If I had to estimate, somewhere between 30 and 60 all in. What was going through my head at that time is that even before I was led into the room was that, you know, this was all a joke, you know, a thing to mess with us more than a reality. And, you know, it wasn't until I got in there and they tell me to strip down and tell me to shove a dog chew toy in my mouth and bend over that, you know, it kind of came to a reality.
And you stopped them?
I left right after. And later I found out that because of my leaving, they ended up shutting down the initiation that night and taking everyone out somewhere. So I didn't stop all of it, but there were limited people who experienced what I experienced because of my leaving.
Have you been able to wrap your head around what the difference would be that would make you be the person to try to stop this when so many other people didn't, and those 30 or 60 people watching didn't put the brakes on this either?
A lot of those people in the room, I don't doubt, especially the athletes who were a year ahead of me, had probably been through the same thing. I know I had one other teammate tell me, yeah, it's real, it happens, it's awful, you deal with it, you move on. And through talking to some other people who've gone through different hazings through the time since McGill, what I've come to realize is that everyone handles things differently. And it's your right to choose how you bounce through this.
Walk me through what was happening when you first heard about St. Mike's.
Hearing the news about St. Mike's was tough for me. You know, during my time there, I never experienced anything like what's come out in the past few days, nor had I heard about other people going through it while I was there. So hearing that happens there is a flood of emotions. It's You know, disappointment that it could happen at a place that I felt was so safe. It was frustration that these things are still going on. You know, I can't explain why people think this is team building, but it's not. And it really just creates a culture of bullying and, you know, just keeps the ugly tradition going. And, you know, it keeps crimes under the guise of the term hazing when they should be called out for what they are, assault.
You know, the police today made reference to this beginning as hazing and then moving into something else. You were watching that news conference. What went through your mind when you heard that word repeated more than once?
I think it shows the issue with people using that term, which is that it's almost chalked up to boys will be boys, or it's just kids messing about, and not really expressing the severity of these actions. And you know, what was even more dangerous too is that you know, more so than when I went through what I did at McGill, there are now videos of these things circulating on the internet, which didn't happen in my case, and those things can pop up forever, essentially.
If you had a chance to talk to the whole grade, get them all in a room, what would you say to them? Witnesses, perpetrators?
One thing about St. Mike's is they have very supportive alumni, and you know, it's a very close-knit group of people, but they need to understand the reality of this. And I think you'd have to run through, okay, here's how this is a crime, here's how videotaping is a crime, and that's just not bullying, hazing, or initiations.
And so my last question is, there is at least one victim out there who's probably still struggling and will for a long time. What, if you get a chance to talk to him, what would you say?
You're not alone. There are way more people who have gone through this than anyone cares to admit. You may feel alone, you may feel angry, afraid, that's all perfectly normal. It'll take time, but you'll get through this, and there are others out there who know how you feel, and if you ever need to speak, we'll be there for you.
You mean that? Okay, Darcy, thanks very much.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate that. We should mention Darcy is the son of Bob McEwen, a co-host of CBC's investigative program, The Fifth Estate.
In Ottawa, some former students at a public school want to know why their school board failed to protect them. 3 teachers associated with Bell High School sexually assaulted teenage boys and girls. The cases go back decades, but a CBC News investigation found the board ignored repeated warnings about 2 of them from students, parents, and teachers. The disturbing details now from the CBC's Julie Ireton.
I feel uncomfortable being here in proximity to it. It's not a good feeling.
Peter Hamer was one of dozens of students sexually abused by teachers at this Ottawa school. He hasn't been back to Bell High in years.
I remember standing back here because this was the office he used, and he called me to the office.
In the 1980s, Hamer's music teacher Bob Clark touched him, asked him to take naked pictures of him, and masturbated in front of him. Clark asked Hamer if he'd keep it secret.
After he had exposed himself, it was the next day. He said, "You gonna tell anybody?" I said, "No, I'm not telling anybody." And he said, "Okay, good." And he was standing right there.
But in 1986, Hamer did tell someone, the school's principal. The next term, Clark was moved to another school. But CBC News has uncovered Clark wasn't the only problem teacher that was moved. Don Grenham was a basketball coach at Bell High in the mid-1970s and early 80s. During that time, Madeline Glaus heard Grenham was molesting students, including her son.
He used to squeeze their genital.
Glaus went to a principal and the school board, but administrators did nothing. It was only after a victim of a third teacher came forward that the secrets started to come out.
Now there's a bunch of us, and it's heartbreaking that there's a bunch of us.
2 years ago, Lori Howitt pressed sexual assault charges against her former Bell music teacher, Tim Stanitz. The incident started when she was 16 years old.
looking back on it now, I can see how he used grooming and manipulation, and I can see that clearly now, and it makes me sick.
Stanitz was the music teacher who had replaced Bob Clark at the school. Within weeks of charges being laid against Stanitz, other former students came forward to lay charges against Clark and Grenham. Grenham's charges involved 22 former students, but he died before his trial. So did Stanitz. Of the three, only Bob Clark was convicted. Now his victims want answers.
Mark.
How are you?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Come in.
Mark Leach was also abused by Clark. It happened after Peter Hamer complained, after Clark was transferred out of Bell and over to another local high school.
Knowing what I know now, I feel like they purposely put students in a vulnerable position by putting us in a room with that guy. To know that a guy has a certain type of behavior like that and to put him in the room with more kids is like, it's unbelievable.
And the guilt still haunts Peter Hamer. He asked for Clark to leave Bell, and Clark then ended up groping Mark Leach, and his replacement went on to sexually assault Lori Howitt and another teenage girl.
So my piece of it didn't help in any way, and so it's taken a lot of therapy to figure out that it wasn't really my responsibility, but that's how I felt at the time.
In a statement, the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board says given the passage of time, it has no plans to open up investigations into these historical cases of sexual abuse. But it says it reviewed employee files to see if anything could have been done differently in these cases and fully cooperated with police investigations. It said abuse should never happen, especially not to a child and not at a school. Julie Ireton, CBC News, Ottawa.
Victims of all three teachers have filed lawsuits against the school board. In his statement of defense, the school board denied that Tim Stanitz molested students, but says if abuse did happen, it was done without their knowledge and was not their fault. Statements of defense have not yet been filed in the other lawsuits.
We have a lot more ahead tonight on The National. Rosie will be here after the break with the winner of tonight's Scotiabank Giller Prize.
And in our moment of the day, the new $10 bill with Viola Desmond is here, and who better to spend it first than her sister, Wanda.
You know what I've got here? I have got my sister, Viola, and she's different from the other ones.
We are live here on The National. Saudi media is reporting Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman will attend the G20 summit in Buenos Aires later this month. This will bring him face-to-face with leaders from Canada, the United States, Turkey, and Europe for the first time since the death of Jamal Khashoggi, that journalist killed inside the kingdom's consulate in Istanbul in October. And U.S. intelligence officials have concluded the order came directly from MBS. The White House has restored Jim Acosta's press pass. The CNN correspondent was forced to return it following a combative exchange with the U.S. president nearly 2 weeks ago. The Trump administration claimed Acosta manhandled an intern when she tried to take a microphone from him. CNN decided to sue, but dropped its case today after Acosta's credentials were restored. It did come with a warning, though. The White House says it could revoke the pass again if he doesn't follow new press guidelines.
And the 2018 Scotiabank Giller Prize goes to
Essie Adujan
for
Washington.
That is Victoria-based author Essie Adujan reacting to her big win this evening for her latest novel, Washington Black. The book follows the journey of an 11-year-old boy who escaped slavery at a Barbados sugar plantation. This is the second time Adujan has won the $100,000 cash prize. She previously won in 2011 for her book, Half-Blood Blues. And Rosemary Barton was at the event this evening in Toronto and spoke to the winner about her second Giller.
Congratulations. Thank you. You seemed sincerely surprised.
I was sincerely surprised. I really didn't think I was going to win. You know, I won in 2011, and it just and there were so many terrific books on the shortlist. I really didn't expect it.
So you're one of the few people that has won twice. What does that change in a writer's life? We did a story on The National on Friday about how writers are really struggling, and this can make all the difference.
It really can. It's what can float you to the next book. You know, we have, I think, like many Canadians, a lot of household debt, and so this is really huge for us. But I'm just so honored.
Yeah, give Canadians who haven't read the book yet, because this is now, it'll be on people's Christmas lists and things like that, give them a sense of what the book speaks to. One of the things you talked about was the strong sense of identity and how you sort of become someone through living, but also through difficult times. How does the book do that?
You know, it's about a character who was born a slave, and so he's known nothing but hardship and savagery his whole life, and then he's plucked out of this situation, you know, very suddenly and surprisingly, and taken out into the world. And he's a character who's full of resilience, and you know, he really is seeking his place in the world and understanding the limits of what that can look like, but also really striving to change things for people like himself. And so it's, I guess it's a tale about sort of how you can continue to go on.
So you said you would use this, I think, for household renovations. That doesn't seem like the most glamorous thing, but that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of debt. We did a house reno and we're still paying it off, and so this will help enormously, but also just in terms of us being able to write and you know, not have to take outside work. It's huge. It's really huge.
Up next on The National, from the prairies to PEI, we will take a closer look at why Canada could be on the brink of a potato shortage.
8% of the crop was left in the field, was not harvested, and there is a fair chunk that's in the bin that probably is in rough shape.
It's tough to be in a boat that's going down together, but we're in a tough boat.
First, so a look at a story you'll see here tomorrow night on The National. Sasha Petrusik takes us to an underground Protestant church in China, part of an in-depth look at how religion is being controlled in that country. Here's a preview of his dispatch from Beijing.
The Chinese officials are waiting for us at the apartment gate. No foreigner, no camera, he says. Closed. That is until our host, Pastor Shu Yonghai, comes out. After arguing with officials, he invites us up to his small third-story flat. The political pressure on us is growing, he says. See the trouble you had? Our people get stopped all the time.
It may soon get more expensive to supersize your fries, not to mention buying those spuds for baking or mashing. The country is facing a potato shortage. That is because a harsh fall harvest is causing millions of dollars worth of Canadian potatoes to rot in the ground. And as Cameron McIntosh explains, there was already a problem with supply.
Under that snow, Chad Berry's potatoes are frozen and rotting.
Well, it's hoping, not real encouraging, but you hope better for next year.
Others are spoiling in the bin.
It's going to be garbage.
The cold, wet fall making this potato harvest one of the worst in memory.
8% of the crop was left in the field, was not harvested, and there is a fair chunk that's in the bin that probably is in rough shape, that might have trouble marketing through the year.
For Manitoba, losses will total about $15 million. Not catastrophic, but compounding what could become a national potato shortage. In PEI, a similar story, where hopes for recovery from a rough season last year are, well, being mashed.
It's tough to be in a boat that's going down together, but we're in a tough boat.
PEI and Manitoba are Canada's two largest potato producers. While a shortage isn't being felt in grocery stores yet, potato processors are starting to look elsewhere.
Portage La Prairie is home to two of Canada's largest potato processing plants, one expanding to be one of North America's largest. To keep them going, potatoes will likely need to come in from the U.S. Adding to all this, drought in Europe. More than 25% of potato crops were lost there, stretching global supplies. As inventories dwindle, Canadian prices could rise.
We're looking at a loss of several million hundredweight of potatoes.
Kevin McIsaac is with the United Potato Growers of Canada.
We know that our supply is less. We would say we have the same demand as last year, so we would expect to see prices increase somewhat.
For now, what's being left behind is a write-off.
We're done here now. There's no way we'll be digging anymore.
This year's frozen crop will be next year's fertilizer. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Portage La Prairie.
Next on The National, 63 years after her death, Viola Desmond becomes the first Canadian woman to grace a Canadian bill. And her sister couldn't be more excited to finally hold it in her hands.
If I could dance, I would dance. If I could sing, if my relatives are in the audience, my son and daughter, they'd say, no, don't do that, Mom. We love you, but don't sing.
It gets better. Her reaction, our moment of the day right after the break. But first, in case you missed it, the people of Finland are busy raking their leaves. It's apparently an activity they take pretty seriously.
We have to rake. It's mandatory in Finland. We have to rake 2 hours per day. But hey, we got the greatest rakes in the world.
So why all the extra manual labor? Well, they have Donald Trump to thank for that and the comments he made during his visit to Northern California over the weekend, where he praised Finland's efforts to prevent wildfires.
I was with the president of Finland, and he said, we have a much different, we're a forest nation. He called it a forest nation. And they spend a lot of time on raking and cleaning and doing things, and they don't have any problem.
That was news to the Finns, and they've since taken to social media, rakes in hand, to share their sarcasm.
Thank you, Mr. President Donald Trump.
Just search for #RakeNews or Rake America Great Again, or the Finnish word for raking. You get the idea. And Canadians are also getting in on the fun with a little help from a forest Roomba. As for the president of Finland, he says he briefly spoke with Trump about forest management last week and doesn't know where the U.S. president picked up his beliefs about raking. The new $10 bill went into circulation today, and people in Halifax lined up to trade old banknotes for the new. This one features Viola Desmond, who became a champion of civil rights after being arrested for sitting in the wrong section of a movie theater in New Glasgow in 1946. Her sister, Wanda Robson, was at the unveiling ceremony at the Human Rights Museum in Winnipeg, and she was the first person to spend the new bill on a book written about her sister. She spoke about what this day and the bill means to her, and that is our moment of the day.
You know what I've got here? I have got my sister, Viola. This is such a momentous occasion, and it's unbelievable to think that, well, I'll put myself first. My sister, a woman, a black woman, is on a $10 bill. The Queen is in good company. Thank you. Thank you.
The Queen is in good company, and I know this is all about Viola Desmond, but Canadians are quickly falling in love with this rowdy, riveting Wanda. She is, I think people are really falling for this woman, and rightly so. The whole family's remarkable.
You know, I have to admit, when I first heard about the announcement, I didn't pay a huge amount of attention. Maybe we were busy on a big news story that day, but as I see this story today, I just keep thinking back to where I grew up, which wasn't very far from New Glasgow, and I was in school, I mean, maybe just over 20 years after this happened. I didn't learn anything about this. I knew more about the American civil rights movement than something happening in our backyard. So good for everybody involved in this for noting it, and an important part of Canadian history. That is The National for November the 19th. Good night.
Good night.